hybrid models around it. So everyone knows here very well. It's a very big space. People are experimenting and really looking forward learn about the ideas out there. And finally, I'm a consultant in management operations. I'm a university instructor, and I'm part of several P2P organizations as a collaborator. And yeah, that's enough. Don't want to talk too long, and very happy to be here.
Cool. Nice to have you here. Are you you're familiar with Michael Bowen's stuff?
Yes, I'm. He's a mentor, and I'm proud to say he's a close friend. We work very closely, and I remember once I mentioned TEC, and he had this amazing reaction. So I was like, okay, that's a big yes for me.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know that he felt that way. That's great. That's nice to hear. Well, welcome. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
So let's get into this. A lot of the call today, Isaac's going to be driving because it's a lot about project management and some of the changes we're making on this front. I'm going to share my screen. So let's start off with just a check-in. Myson, we usually do this. It's like we start with like what our intentions are for this meeting, and then any distractions that we might have at the moment. So, Nate, you have your camera on, and you seem all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So why don't you start?
As soon as you say that, my computer freezes up. So, yeah, no,
Hello, is anyone there? Is it me?
Yeah, no, it looks like Nate's computer is freezing up. So, Joseph, why don't you go next?
So, intentions to definitely hear about the new schema of doing things. And my intentions also for later on today is to uh, continue working on the end of month comms report for like social media. I had a talk with Bear about a few things about it, so I'm in like the finishing stages of that. Distractions. Um, no, I don't have any major distractions. I will pass it on to Bear.
Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, I think pretty similar. Just looking forward to this sprint planning. Yeah, just pretty interested on that. For distractions, not really. No, nothing distracting me at the moment. So I'll just pass it on to Isaac.
Cool, thanks. Intentions, well, just go through today's agenda and chat about and plan our upcoming sprint, kind of. And distractions, not at the moment. I'm going to pass it back to you, Guillermo. I'm not sure who else is left.
Myson, do you want to give it a shot? Basically, just like what your intentions are for this call, and then if you have any distractions going on.
No distractions. I'm here to learn. I can't say much other than introducing myself at the stage. So yeah, I'm a fly on the wall.
Okay. So I will. So my intentions are. My intentions are really to help us figure out how we're going to move into this the agile and really embrace this. And I think we're basically wrapping up our first sprint, and so I really want to try to get some clarity on that and exactly what we're going to be doing in sprint 2. No real distractions. So Nate, do you want to give one more we give one more try?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so my intentions are to get through this and talk a little bit about the project management process. I think it's really important that we move forward with this agile framework. I really enjoyed working on this grant round together with everybody on the team, and my distractions currently are I am preparing for the Twitter Spaces happening after this meeting. So, yep, and I'll pass it back to you, Gideon.
Okay, so thanks everybody. Let's just do one last thing, which is if there are any kind of just very quick updates on things that are not related to this sprint, to the grants program. If there's some side things that are going on, I will give one or two just quick things. One is that I'm now in the process of trying to think about like what do we do after May 16th. What is this team going to focus on? So that's I'm thinking a lot about that. I'm also continuing to have these conversations, two sets of conversations. One with Angela on this AI opportunity, and it's really exciting. Some of the stuff that she is coming up with Rohana is really cool. Like, I don't use the word revolutionary that often, but like I think in this case it may be revolutionary. So I want to see if we can get her to come in, maybe her and Rohan to come in one of our calls to talk about what they're seeing, so that you all can get a sense for this. So that's that's the first thing. The second thing is that I'm talking with Griff and with Livia and Tam about putting a grant in to Optimism to move the TEC off Gnosis and over to Optimism. So that is going to involve a lot of work. But it feels like we've been talking about this for a little while. I think it's time to actually start to move on this. So those are two quick updates. Any other things from folks?
Yeah, just from the project management perspective, the SPI is now going to be broken down into two separate initiatives. The kind of the SPI aggregating communities initiative and the curation service are going to be separate projects that will be managed independently. The focus has been on the curation service, and we've got a good team on that. 5 or 6 people that are working each week to actually implement this in multiple communities. And then the SPI is something that we're going to have to revisit in terms of integrating more with the Token Engineering Academy, and I have a proposal for that we can go over perhaps on Thursday if we have time.
Okay.
I have a very quick follow-up to what you said, Gideon. I guess more personal. I don't have to be in the code per se, but I do have some thoughts about moving. It's like some things that we could take the opportunity of moving to implement. So maybe we can chat later about that.
Yeah, absolutely. There will be a document. Actually, we're working on a grant proposal to Optimism, so it's probably worth. I'm just looking at it right now. Livia was working on it while I was away, so I'll yes, I think that's a good idea. Okay, so anything else? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so Isaac and I were talking this morning about Agile and just kind of where we are in the process. Basically, I think, philosophically, kind of big picture, what we've been talking about as a group is like, hey, this is a methodology that has a lot of people who spent a lot of time perfecting this over the years. There's best practices that are well established and documented. And so for us, rather than trying to wing it and put together our own kind of like special brand of this thing, it's like, let's try to just adopt like what the actual best practices are. And so that's what Isaac has been working on, and I think Bear's been kind of like helping out on that too. Although I wasn't here for that. That's what we're gonna be. That's what we've been practicing. That's what we did last week with the retrospective. I thought that the retrospective call went really well. I thought that was really interesting. I also liked how we incorporated praise as part of that. And if you did not do your praise after that, I think it would be good for us to start getting back into the practice. And I think the retrospective is a nice way to do that. So we're going to basically be doing the next phase of that. The exact timing of when these they're called ceremonies, when it actually happens, it's probably worth us looking at our actual meeting schedule and maybe doing some nudging around, like moving stuff around a little bit, so that we can get a nice flow going. So let's hold off on the exact dates of like when these things will happen. But basically, last week was the retrospective, which is a lot about like the process, like how the process went. And then in today's call right now, we're gonna look at like a review of what happened in this last sprint, which is more on the product, like the actual output. And then the other thing we're gonna try to tackle today is planning for the next sprint. So let's dive in with the review part of this, and Isaac is going to drive that. Isaac?
Yep. So just to give some context on the review, both the review and the retrospective, just like Gideon said, are pretty similar. Ideally, we would take 30, 45, 1 hour to go to a fit jam and just jam together on which things went right, and how we like the results of the work. And also, ideally, we would have other stakeholders like Grief and Tam. And so just, and also because we have to plan for the next sprint, what I'm thinking is that we just go through the Kanban board with the tasks, chat like 5-10 minutes about them, and then we just move to the actual planning. Does that sound good?
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll share my screen 1 second. Please let me know if you can see my screen. I'm sharing Notion. Okay. So this first sprint was very informal. I guess we are calling it a sprint more just to frame a period of time than to talk about a sprint per se, with with all that comes with a sprint. It was pretty much the entire month of April, more or less, and was very focused on the grants program. Some of the things we did during this period, what was it? Let me zoom this a bit. Okay, so we actually did a bunch of things, from the funding proposal to get funds for the matching pool, to a bunch of configuration, chatting with the Gitcoin team, making overview with the different options we had to run a grants program. And then content announcements, the portal that has a bunch of information, the revision of applications, yada yada. There's a few tasks missing. I'm still updating the task list because, well, remember, because the grants program was very tight on time. We made the decision to focus more on doing the job than on having these sort of queued and reflected, and now I'm just slowly getting everything tracked. But it's roughly that. What would be interesting now is to just open the floor and chat about the things that we liked. And when I talk about this, I talk about results, I talk about deliverables, I talk about the product or the service, the things that we liked and the things that could have been going better. Um, does anyone wants to start with those two questions, or else I'll probably just choose someone.
And
Five. Okay.
sorry, just to clarify, we're not talking. So last week we were talking about the process, the how we did it, and now we're talking about the what. What?
Yep.
I'll go first. In terms of the actual results, I think the fact that we was able to that we was able to actually promote people, I thought was fantastic. That the fact that we actually got people to and are still donating, and also just what are the deliverables? You know what? It's because I'm mixing the process with the results, so I've only got few results, but I just liked it all, to be honest, and also with regards to we was able to create content and in my opinion inform people quite well on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it. I think that message was actually portrayed to enough people, apart from the one that was wanted to make a complaint that I was talking about, I think, last week. With regards to things that could have been done, or like results that could have been done better, my only thing will probably be just like the time frame in which we had to do things, because I think if we had more time, then everything else would have been a bit less rushed. But that's like something small, to be honest. That's the only thing that I have to say.
Cool. That's great. Do you want to pass it over to someone?
Yeah, I'll pass it over to Nate. If Nate is not there, oh, he's there.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry about that. I'm closing out this Figma because it's just too much. So the big thing that I think we did really well with in terms of the grant round, especially, was that we kind of set this framework for evaluating grants that I think can be applied for future rounds. And I think that, despite and mad praise to Bear and Isaac on going through this, we spent so many hours trying to talk through each of the projects and make sure that we had a criteria that we stuck with, regardless of outside pressures or anybody trying to influence whether they got into the round or not. We stuck to our metrics and said that this is the round that we have, and I thought that was just really amazing. And then in terms of things that we could have improved on, I think we did this in a very tight space, like as Joseph said, but I thought we communicated well, and the thing that we can improve on is just better planning, and I just think we had to go through this trial and error aspect of it before we could do it. So I don't really see it as a negative thing. I just see it as having a longer term planning and knowing what to expect. So yeah, I'll pass it over to you, Bear. And am I approaching this? Am I answering these questions correctly? Is this kind of reviewing what we did last time?
Yeah, it's just seeing how we felt, how we saw the results of the work. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of like tangible outcomes, yeah, the understanding the grant round in more detail is what we took away from it. I think having the planning beforehand, which is, like I said, is tough. So yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Bear.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think pretty similar to what has been said already. Just a quick question here on this, Isaac. So this review, it's on the it should be on the sprint, right, and not on the project itself. I know that right now both things match, but it would be on the sprint, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so for things that went good, I think just the fact that we were able to pull it off, like doing this first grand round, I think that's a main success. I think in terms of internal coordination and communication, although that's more process stuff, I do see it like as a really positive outcome, because I think it's kind of like trying to set the standards for future rounds, for us to come up with a really good process on that, and we can include there like what Nate was saying in terms of the application process and the criteria definition. I think we had really good improvements there that we'll be able to apply in the following rounds. I think that's for things that we could have done better. I agree that probably planning. But yeah, I also don't see it as with any negative connotation or anything. I just think it's constant improvement, and we really did our best, I think. So probably also some more. No, never mind. It's the same thing, like better planning for the communications as well. I think we were really tight on time to be able to plan a better strategy on that front. So yeah, I think that's just places we can improve on in the future. And with that, I'll pass it on to Gideon. I don't know, you probably have something to say.
Yeah, the thing that I was just looking back at our some of our documents, and actually this Allo thing, like we really didn't start talking about this until like the first or second week of February. So think about how fast this turnaround was to launch a new, fundamentally new grants program on a protocol that's like brand new from Gitcoin. Like it's actually pretty amazing that this team was able to pull that off on this kind of a time frame. So yeah, technically that goes beyond the confines of this sprint, but like the execution was definitely in this sprint. I think we should all be very proud of the results. And then the other thing is just, and technically this kind of went beyond this. This also was outside of the sprint, but we negotiated a very difficult series of proposals, to get us to this point, like getting this proposal, the funding for this, and then the funding to keep the operations going of the TEC, but also the academy, and then pulling together just like a whole bunch of things that and the sunsetting of conviction voting, although I haven't even followed up with Nate and Isaac on that to see where we are with that. But I just want to say that it was kind of stressful, but the results are very good. Like we've ended up in a much stronger place as a result of work over the last probably month and a half. I think, Maisa, I don't think you probably have a lot of perspective to share on this, so I'll just open it up, and if not, you can feel free to just pass it back to Isaac.
Yeah, sure. I just had, you're right, I had just one quick question. Let's say a new guy like me wants to learn more to see how I can collaborate. So is there like an onboarding process for new guys where, we learn how to get to the screen I'm looking at and navigate? What is the ethos? What are the guidelines, etc.?
I can answer that, and Bear, feel free to jump in and add more. I think that the challenge, and I used to work with nonprofits, and very similar challenge is that we have very simple ways for people to plug in that are pretty easy, like curating content and things like that are just open, they're permissionless. But when it comes to like talented people who have like specific gifts, we don't currently have like a a very streamlined process for that. I think this is true with most DAOs. It's really hard to figure out how to scale that up and like be able to meet people. So it tends to be more like this. People join a call, and then, you know, if they keep coming back and there's like a genuine interest, then we start to explore ways to plug people in. I don't know, Bear, do you have any other I mean, it's an area that we're planning on investing in, but we just have been it's hard. There's not a lot of resources. So doing that kind of stuff takes resources and time. Bear, do you have any other thoughts on that?
Not really, not much, but just to say that yes, that is something definitely that it's on our radar. Actually, you know, like going through this sprint planning, I feel that this is something that's starting to get more, that should start getting more relevance, because we see, you know, like new people joining and wanting to contribute, and we do think that's a really critical part that we need to figure out. The sooner the better, I think. So it's just like repeating on what Gideon said, that is definitely an area we're going to continue working on in the following weeks.
Yeah, I will say I just put in the message our TEC handbook. This is not updated to our current organizational structure or planning, but it can give you some kind of history and background into the TEC and what we've been doing.
Perfect. I'll check it out. So thank you. And one quick thing, Gideon, I agree with the fact that in a open framework, it's good to push also collaborators and show their motivations to show up several times and put in the learning capacity. It acts like a natural and passive barrier to some extent. So I guess what I'll be doing is just hanging around with you guys, if that's okay, and try to learn more and catch up as fast as I can.
That's great. Yes, please do.
Cool. Well, I guess I'm the only one left. Things that went good. I think in general everything went as good as it could have gone. If we take into account, you know, all the challenges, the time constraints, and all of that. But even besides, I guess at the end of the day, what matters for this review, like if these were to be clients, they wouldn't care as much about the challenges. I guess at the end of the day, um, we ended up with a really neat portal with a really neat selection of projects. I'm really pleased with the selection of projects that we made. At least given the ones that applied, right? Because if we were talking about the quality and the size of projects overall, that's another thing. But I'm generally very pleased with the selection we made. With the information we put out in the portal, in Twitter, and all of that. Um, I guess the part that I think needed more work, um, in general, was the planning. But I guess client facing, user facing was communications. Um, but you know, there's just so much that we could have done, and with the little time and changes in the team and all of that, it was just really hard. Um, but yep, yep. Okay. Um, Anything else anyone wants to highlight, or if not, we can move into planning for the next 2 weeks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. Well, so planning today is going to be a bit interesting. We are going to do a bunch of the planning sort of on the fly. Ideally, we would have a fairly long backlog with options to choose from, and just put them into the current sprint. But because we are just now getting started with all of this, and Gideon is just back. We haven't been able to build a backlog. I just have like 4 tasks here, so we can go through them right now, see if it makes sense to have them in this particular sprint. Include them, find them an owner. Although for most of them, we kind of had one. Um, and then just have some time to brainstorm around new tasks and new things we have to get done during the sprint. Does that sound good? Okay, cool. So with the first one, the matching boost, the T matching boost. So I have to describe it yet, but essentially, this one is to work with Rex to complete the script to apply the matching boost to the round and make all the calculations necessary to then make the payouts. Um, because Rex is not anymore part of the team per se, and he's not in this Notion base. I cannot assign him the task, but because I'm the point of contact, I have assigned it to myself, and I'll be working with Rex to do this. Um, I guess because this sprint ends on the 15th and the round ends on the 9th. Um, I still have to chat with Rex. I don't know about his time right now, but we should be able to pull this off during this sprint. I don't think it's a very complex script, and as long as he can have it done before the 15th, should be good to be in this sprint. What do we think about that? See one thumbs up.
Sounds good.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, my only question is, given that there's not a huge number of donors, yeah, do we even need a script? Like, can we just would it be faster to just do it by hand to verify? I don't know.
Um, well, I mean, there's 42 donors so far, and we still have more than 42 donors. We still have more than 1 week. And anyways, we have to take a snapshot. We have to take all this data and then go one by one. I can chat with Rex to see how complex it is, but I get the sense it is easy enough to just have it done, and then we can just reuse it anytime. Okay, so seems like we want to have this done during this period. Next one is the grantee feedback form. I have yet to scope this one as well. But I had chatted with Bear about this one. He offered to do that. I'll just confirm if you're still up to do that in a second. But the idea for this feedback form is to hand over a quick form to grantees so that they can fill in how was the process, how they did filled with all of these. Um, I guess we have 2 options. We can technically have the form during this sprint because the round finishes the 9th, but maybe it's best if we have the form after payouts, and payouts are likely to be done. I don't think we're going to be able to do the payouts right in this sprint. So maybe it makes more sense to have this form sent to grantees on the following sprint.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Yeah.
And well, I guess we can check that on the following sprint, but you're still up to have to do this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm still down.
Okay, cool. Uh, next thing is the closing blog post for the round. Uh, Pretty straightforward. More than anything, a report on how the went, the the missions, the matching books. I don't know, all that kind of information. So I guess feedback form. We have done the information at night, or maybe we want to. I don't know if that be any useful. Maybe we want to do it after test. Um, so
Hey,
that's
Isaac,
the first question.
Isaac,
Well, yeah. Let me.
your audio is kind of
Mhm.
coming. Your audio is kind of fading in and out.
Uh, 1 second.
Yeah, like I couldn't understand the question that you asked, or even the description that you had of the task. It was like in and out, so I didn't get the full scope of what the task is for.
How is it now?
Say a little bit more.
Hi. Is it better now? Okay. Excellent. Cool. Um, yeah. So I was just saying that our closing blog post pretty much a report, and that I guess the same situation as the feedback form. Um, we can have it done this sprint and just make it with information up to the ninth. But maybe, and I'm not sure that be any useful. Maybe we want to include. We'll maybe there's something in the payouts that we want to include in the report, and so we would have to wait till the next sprint. I don't think so. I would feel fairly comfortable with just having information up to the ninth. But I guess I don't know how everyone feels about that.
So just to ask, with regards to the closing blog blog post, right? Is it just like a high level overview of what happened during during the grants program with regards to, from our perspective, from the donors perspective, or from the proposer perspective, and like how detailed does it have to be? Because yeah, I can work with Marathon Mind on that, as long as I have like a criteria of like the main points that you would like to be in the actual blog post.
Well, that's those are good questions. I don't have nothing set in stone, but at the end of the day, that's for us to decide. I would feel like my first thoughts are just have a blog post that's a fairly high level overview that chats about everything that happened from the proposal. Um, well, from our first interaction with Gitcoin, so we just give people an overview of how we end up making this round, and then just say how the projects do on the round. I think that should be more or less enough. But I don't know how everyone else feels about that.
All right, yeah, that sounds fair enough. I'll definitely talk with Marathon Mind about that, and obviously he hasn't joined the meeting today, but I'll drop him a message and have a quick chat with him about it. And so yeah, I'll take it on task if it applies to be for the next put in the next sprint.
Okay. So yeah, I guess that's the other question. Do we want to have it for this sprint, or do we rather wait till the whole process is 100% done?
Um, I have I have two comments. One is, yeah, I don't think there's like a rush to get this in this next sprint. Like, um, I think it'd be probably better to just have like all of the data in, and we just like give ourselves a little bit of time to digest it. So I would say next sprint probably is better. And then I think two other things. One is I think let's just be very clear. Let's try to get like some clear objectives for this post. What are we trying to do with this post? Be very clear about that. And it doesn't have to be a long post, but just clear. So for example, like, are we trying to update token holders and say like, hey, look, here's all the cool stuff that's happening to advance token engineering, and it's like it's basically furtherance of the mission. Showing like that seems like that would be a pretty good objective, is reporting back to token. But maybe the goal is different. Maybe it's like we want to use this post as a jumping board, a springboard for the next round thing that we can point to later, right? But I think we just have to be clear about what we're trying to do. And then, actually, the third point is, I think, and maybe this is another task for this milestone, but I think that it's going to be really important for us to go through a process of, maybe this is part of the retrospective, but basically detailing out what we learned, what we'll do differently, what we'll do exactly the same. Isaac and I were talking a little bit about that today, in terms of the relationship with Gitcoin, motion, size of the round, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, those are my 3 pieces of feedback.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I think having kind of a planning period for the grant rounds into the future. If we decide to keep using this protocol for future grant rounds, knowing exactly how many times we want to do this in a year. Do we want to break this down into different niche categories to make it more effective and more focused? So, such as research or education or tooling or any other possible category that could come up. I think this is something that's really important to define, and we could do. And I'm personally a big fan of having smaller rounds and doing them more frequently under niche categories. However, there's some trade-offs with that in terms of being a partner with Gitcoin and seeing if we can. I don't know. Isaac, you mentioned something about not being qualified for a partner uh, status if you have smaller rounds. Is that correct?
Yeah, they right now they require 50K, which doesn't apply to this first round, but technically it will start being a requirement for the next round. But yeah, that's a conversation we started, like we chatted very quickly about that. Gideon and I chatted very quickly about that before this call, and that's a big conversation. We'll have to see how do we deal with that. Um, but yeah, okay. I get the sense that then we want to postpone the blog post, like it's not a high priority. Um, so okay. Next thing is yeah, guarantee payouts. Um, this one, um, it's pretty straightforward. Get people paid. To do this one, we need to first have the matching boost done. What I'll probably do is, um, unless people feel any kind of way about it, I'll just probably move it to blocked because it's technically blocked until we figure this one first. If we ended up having the matching boost done in time, I'll just include it into this sprint. I'll unblock it, include it into this sprint because the payout is pretty easy and quick. It's just one transaction in the multisig. And if not, it'll stay blocked, and we'll check it later on for the next sprint. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. Now we have to. Okay. Right now we have just um one one task for this sprint, and we actually have a bunch of work to do. So next thing, what is something that we need to get done during these 2 weeks?
Well, I would say, um, one more push on trying to get donations. Like, what is there anything that we haven't tried that we now need to try between now and the end of the round? Try to, bring in some more supporters. So, for example, like, going to the trusted seed, or I don't know. I don't know what it is, but my question is like, worth having a task like focused on doing one more round of outreach.
Yeah, I think reaching out to our partner organizations and promoting the token engineering grant round, as well as having more communications around the boost, is something that's really important. I think people who have received, um, you know, uh, Token Engineering Academy certifications for the modules are individuals that we should definitely reach out to, just because their donations will be amplified a lot more and have more impact, and so hopefully there's an incentive to donate there. But yeah, I think more information around the boost and reaching out to partner organizations should be a part of that.
So let's try to put that down into a task. Would that be? I think I see two tasks here. One is content about T Boost, and then another one uh, seems to be contacting Angela for email list of students to get some particular information to them. And well, actually, another one that would be, oops, um, contact about T Boost, contacting Angela for students, and then round of partner outreach to get more donations. That's kind of roughly the three tasks I'm hearing. Is that all right?
Yeah, I would say so. I think for this last one, I think it would be good to better define like what are we looking for. I already reached out to some of them, like through their Discord servers. I was able to make some promotion on the round to some of the close partners, I'd say, based on the list we had. So maybe that's just like one part of it, but maybe, like defining now, like for this following sprint, what do we want to achieve? Does it mean like doing outreach on Twitter? Do we, um, get more email lists and maybe do it that way now? Or, just kind of like trying to be more specific on the type of outreach that we want to take on.
Well, we are running out of time, so probably what we can do is let's go first with the other ones that are a bit more clear. Let's get an owner and define them just a bit so that they can be worked on even today, and then we can, during the week, we can work on the other tasks. So content about the T Boost. I guess that this is Twitter friendly content about what's the T Boost, how to use it, and call to action. The criteria to mark it as complete, I would say that it must be, um, let's see, must be two or three pieces of content that can be either Twitter thread or just smaller tweets
must be concise, concise and with a clear call to action. Well, separate this. Clear call to action and links to the ABC and TA. What else? What else should we take into account for this? Is there anything at all else that we should take into account?
I would just say that making sure that people understand that in order to qualify for this boost, it has to come from the same wallet address that they're donating from. I think that's really important to mention.
Yeah, I think specifically, like if we know where the most likely holders are. So I have a thread open with Max from the Trusted Seed. He just contacted me yesterday. I think they just give some specific push them because we know there's a lot of TC holders in that network. That would be good.
Okay, so maybe this is probably more like a duplicate. Just a seed. We can let me see that one in a second. And who's up to do the content?
I'll
Or
do
to mislead it? You just have.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And let's have it this as content. All right. Okay. Now contacting Angela for email list of students. I guess for newsletter, because I don't think we want to actually request the email list. We just want to use the space in there. Project. Oops. Project is well, it's not loading. Okay, Spring 2 project is a grants program. Reaching out to the TA to have a space in their newsletter for the. Actually, I think we for TA amplification. And I'm changing this because the Academy's newsletter goes out every Wednesday, and today is already Tuesday, so I don't think if we target the newsletter, we are not going to make it in their newsletter and or Discord, Telegram, Twitter, and all the other announcement channels they have. This is to signal information about the T boost and call to action to get more donations. To mark it as completed, must have, I'd say, it must include this content. So let's copy this and put it here. Formatted friendly for their channels. What else? Let's just I'll scope them down with a bit more time. Who wants to take? Let's do the academy and the trusted seed at the same time, or maybe not. Well, let's go with the academy first. Who wants to take on the academy?
And to be clear, do you mean like asking for their help or writing the message?
It's more than anything. It's just asking technically the message is the content that Joseph is going to make.
Okay, I can do that and a trusted seed.
Okay. Gideon, and well, I can do that for the academy. Okay, well, we just have 2 minutes. I don't think it's worth to speed this up. Yeah, I'll be probably working more than anything with you, Gideon, to get a few other tasks done, and we will probably revisit and continue this planning on Thursday. But seems like we already have a few things to work on, and there's of course some other stuff that's not in here already. But I think we are all kind of busy, so yeah, feel free to add any task. Just please let me know so that I'm aware, or just I don't know, ping me, write me a DM if there's anything that you guys are working on that I can include in here. Just that so that we can keep track of everything, and because remember that as part of the payment structure, we also take into account the tasks. So it's always great that everything is tracked. And with that, well, I guess we are over for today. So thanks everyone for joining. I'll see you later, and please join the tourist space. That's just starting.
Thanks, Isaac.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you,
Bye. See you
everyone.
guys later.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.